now, so declare this meeting open, and thank you all for attending. Just going through the agenda items. The first item is apologies for absence.
I've had apologies for Councillor Fuller, Councillor Glenn, Councillor Clark, Councillor Baker and Councillor Peel.
Okay. Are you all happy to accept those apologies? Yeah, okay. Right, declarations of interest. I think we've got a neighbourhood plan report later on in it. It's on the report. But I'll declare just so any other interested are the residents of St Christopher's Drive.
Well, in that case, I'll make my usual declaration. But as it was only receiving an update, I'm not sure that's necessary.
Anybody else? No?
Yes, there's an item in here about a letter from Chat. So,
okay.
As a trustee of Chat, I
Yes.
need to declare an interest in that.
Okay. And yourself, yes. Okay. Councillor Chester and Councillor Sparks. Right, the minutes of the previous meeting. Has everybody had a chance to have any problems in those minutes? No. We've got a proposal, we accept them, or propose them, for a seconder. Yeah, okay, so I think it's just the Councillor Humphreys slightly in there quickly. Yeah, all those in favour? Okay, let's see if I'm just let them do me. Pages in here. Right, public participation from interested parties or members of the public. Well, we don't seem to have any this evening. And consideration of requests from interested parties. There's nothing in there. And the next item is the Mayor's report. I'm afraid I was a little bit too late getting this in for it to be around the packs that you were sent out, but you know, I've written a report and sent it across to Emma. But basically what I'm saying is, on the neighbourhood plan, we've had the invite for Persimmon to meet up with them. A few of us did meet up with them, principally to explain to Persimmon that Oundle Town Council was supporting its neighbourhood plan, and that the Persimmon development was not included in that plan because we'd selected from another sites. A full review of the ENC local plan for Oundle should take place at Thrapston on the 29th of July. We've had that since confirmed that it will take place on the 29th, and public attendance is permitted at that one. Snipe Meadow, I made a mention of Snipe Meadow. You know, sadly that we're having to close that down until we've got the new boardwalk in, but there's a lot of progress being made to doing that out of recycled materials, in keeping with everything else that Oundle's doing. I've had an invite from Oundle Horticultural Society to make their annual awards. I'll take pleasure in going along to that one. Transition Oundle, Mariam and myself went along to the to Totnes, which was the original transition town. Had a big meeting there with 200 plus people in it, most of them from Totnes and the areas, and we learnt a lot about what they were doing and the problems they had. Also, I went along to the annual meeting about Transition Oundle, which was very educational for me. We had Waitrose were there, just talking about something. They talked about many things, but one very important one was why bananas are in plastic bags. And the plastic that bananas are wrapped up in, it actually makes the bananas last for longer. So they were really getting on the point of don't throw away all the plastic too quickly, because you'll end up throwing away more fruit and vegetables. And then we had a very good presentation by another chap who was talking about recycling in general. Lastly on Northbridge, you've all seen the correspondence that's gone on. We had a bit of a hiccup over it, and that's all been resolved. So there is a plan now to get a big stainless steel structure underneath the bridge, mostly hidden. So you know, it will be a much quicker solution than was originally proposed. So we'll wait and see that, but we're keeping the pressure on NCC. And there was a little concern yesterday over the financial stability of Kia, and I'm trying to think of his other name. Council Appeal, has written to the Kia people asking them to confirm that there's no risk of our bridge during that. That's a little bit beyond my report. Okay. Right, so that was the Mayor's report.
I ask a question?
Yes, certainly.
What was Persimmon's reaction when you told them that they weren't in the team, not even on the bench?
They knew already.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was not news for them. They were pushing us for reasons, but really we didn't want to go into long conversations about the logistics of it. It was for them to respond. Okay, any other questions on the Mayor's report? Right. So District Council reports, and very nice to see you here, Rupert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. My district council's report, singular. At Eastbourne House Council, I'm now on Transformation Committee, which is doing a lot of the groundwork in bringing together really our best interests and resources with a view to aligning them in due course with the resources and personnel of the present other principal councils, namely moving from more or less from west to east, Kettering, Corby and Wellingborough, and of course the county council elements which we would need for Northern Hants Unitary. Overarching our Transformation Committee, there is of course the Northamptonshire Steering Committee, I think its proper title is, which comprises 3 senior councillors from each of all these authorities. Ours are Councillor Stephen North, leader, Councillor David Jenny, deputy leader, and Councillor John Farrer. The councillors on the Joint Steering Committee from the other principal councils are of very similar seniority and standing, people of some weight. In fact, I know some of them from various official contacts in my time. So that work will go ahead to ensure that our best interests are catered for and put into account as the process moves forward. My other major responsibility as North Hants Council now continues to be representing the council at the Local Government Association Special Interest SPARS Group, which looks after the interests of smaller and rural authorities. It was founded way back in, I think, 1998, a bit before my time, at the time when there was an up-and-running revenue support grant, just to make sure that rural authorities got a fair share of the grant, which people didn't, since the whole grant formula tended to work out more in favour of more densely populated metropolitan authorities. So it was a matter of continuing negotiating seriously and agitating for adjustments made in the revenue support grant formula. Well, now, of course, revenue support grant is pretty well no more. We hadn't got any for the first time. We could see the way things were developing, so we prudently and steadily trimmed back while making sure our vital duties and powers continue to be carried out. So we're all right for the foreseeable. Central government are moving forward, and I say this quite frankly, with almost appalling frankness at a snail's pace, in the so-called fair funding review, which is likely to include, in fact only comprise, councils being allowed to keep some 75% of the business rates they collect. Well, is moving ahead with the snail's pace for two reasons. First of all, our Chancellor, Spreadsheet Phil, you can translate it properly for the minutes, is a very cautious man, and he doesn't want to take the foot brake off too soon. Otherwise, he would do other climate demands for very sound reasons. The other reason, of course, is that Westminster and Whitehall are pretty well up to their necks in preparing for various things likely to happen on Brexit. However, we need to keep plugging away, and that's a sparsity group. We have some damn good officers. Our chief officer is a retired deputy chief executive of the Northern Southern Council, who knows all about the ins and outs of the government finance and how it works, and how it should work, and how it sometimes doesn't work. Here's a few other experts. Some are very bright young finance officers coming up the career ladder in other councils. So in other words, as and when Councillor Cecilia Motley and one or two others in this part of the group go into the ministry, they're briefed up to the eyeballs.
Okay.
So it's a matter of really keeping plugging away.
Okay.
Because it's simply no good pressing ministers on a broad front. They'll simply smile amiably and so they fully understand that they can put into account. So we need to keep on gentle pressure, a little bit of target occasionally, in areas where we feel there are very real needs.
Okay, we appreciate you doing that. Thank you. That's very good.
So I have nothing to add, but very willing to answer any questions before I leave.
Very happy that you're there and you're going to this meeting on the 24th of June, you know, representing the rural areas. Thank you.
That's right, yes.
Okay. Thanks very much, Rupert.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
And just additionally, we have a note from Jake, you know, just confirming the meeting on the 29th of June at Thrapston. Yeah, so
Right,
that's
in the meeting of Planning Policy Committee.
yeah, that's very
Is
important
it
for
July?
Oundle.
Is it July?
It is July.
Yeah.
So yeah, just on the theme of this meeting, getting dates mixed up. Yeah, it's 29th of July, the meeting in Thrapston. Yeah.
So where Jake is looking after all our interests. Of
Yeah.
course, Jake Hill and I keep in very close touch with us. We're fully aligned.
Yep.
So we composed the hymn sheet, we shared it with you, and we're all singing from it.
Well, we will at that meeting have a strong representation of Oundle Town Council and hopefully Oundle residents as well. Okay. Thank you very much, Rupert.
Thank you.
Right, the next one then is to receive an update on Northbridge. I think I've mentioned Northbridge in the Mayor's report. It is in the pack there. You know, essentially, you know, everything's on plan, but to my mind, the dates don't add up. So, although they're hoping to start in July, if they get it finished by Christmas, I think we might be a bit lucky. But they've got the money in it. They're saying that there's no question of them doing all the work that was needed to be done. And all we can do is watch this space. Consider ideas for the Conservation High Street funding. Now, just a little bit of background on this one. I know Councillor Humphreys has agreed to represent us at a meeting with the business community tomorrow morning. They're holding a meeting themselves.
If it would help, I could go to that as well.
I think two of you would be very good.
Yeah, I'll see that.
Yeah, okay. So that's,
Just on that point, what I've done today is I got in touch with unfortunately she can't turn up, but I sent an email to Paul and he agreed that would be a good idea I got in touch with Carol Bancroft Turner because she's already put in lots and lots of bids for lottery funding and things like that from the museum, and if there's anyone that knows about that side of it, then she would be a worthy ally.
okay.
And I said I would take notes from the meeting because you can't be there, and then we can report back to her and report back here to say how it went and what's going to go on.
No, we're very pleased, I think, that the business community have sort of left in with this one because we thought it was a bit of a daunting task for ourselves to get anything in the timescale made available.
Yeah.
But if we can, as a council, support the business community, then you know, certainly we will.
There's enough heads on there that probably make it happen. I don't know.
I did inquire to see if they would give us any more time.
Mm.
They won't. And it is a one-off fund. It's not going to happen
Every
annually.
year. No.
It is just a one-off.
So we do need to put a lot of effort into this. So once they've got an idea of what they'd like to do.
As a matter of interest, when did we first know about this? Because it strikes me that whoever organised this simply doesn't live in the real world about things like local authorities that can't necessarily respond at the drop of a hat and produce some sort of
I think it was about
umpteen-page
the
application.
day I sent it to everybody.
I assumed it probably was,
Yeah.
which means that
It was
you're being asked to try and do this in approximately a month, which is absolute madness.
It's extremely frustrating because you look at the quality of the brochure they put together. It probably took 2 months in putting that brochure
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is extremely frustrating, but let's help. You know, the business community have got a vested interest, obviously, in the town centre. But if we can partner with
Well,
them,
as we, I mean, I'd just say, as we all, I mean, if you think of having read through all the documentation they sent, you know, what other towns have done, what other, it would make, if we could put a bid together and get it there, it would make an enormous difference
yeah,
to the marketplace. And some of the plans that would come forward, hopefully from people, about the market and West Street and whatever we consider it to be on High Street, would be it would be great to invest some money.
well,
The thing that immediately occurred to me, sorry,
No,
I'm
please.
jump in, is I don't know how familiar people are with Market Harbour, but Market Harbour has got the A427 running through it, which is also a major A road, and they've completely pedestrianised or blended the road with you know, pedestrianised areas, and some sort of proposal that would put something like that into Angle would be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think agree on. And there's so much there. We've got so much to be proud of.
yeah.
And you know, we started jumping up and down saying, "Come and visit this."
And whether you can, you know, create some sort of more permanent one-way route around the town centre as well as part
As I said, I mean,
those sorts of
it's fallen into place because of what I said to the public at the annual meeting in the church. Because this is exactly what we're talking about. What are there any ideas? How can it happen?
The original neighbourhood plan group has a document which had, amongst other things, plans for a one-way route through the town and various other infrastructure improvements, which might just form the basis of something that could be put together rather more quickly than might otherwise have been the case. I can't remember who exactly piloted it.
Various members of the public have sent in schemes.
Yeah.
Well, no, Transition Angle had a big part of that, didn't they? They
did.
onto it. So yeah, I know there's Transition Angle people on your meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they weren't carried out because we didn't get round to it. A lot of work went into deciding that it wasn't a good idea at the end of the day. So we ought to look at the research as well that went with it.
Absolutely.
So just in terms of our formalities and processes, Emma, can you help me on this? Does the full council have to approve this submission?
Yeah, I think along with it needs to be through the full council with help from East Northants Council as well.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about the dates though. If we have to approve it before that submission date, we need to think about which meeting's got to do the approval, don't we?
Yeah.
Could you, not now, but could you just have a think about how that might work?
Might be an extraordinary thing.
Yeah, you might need an extra meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'll say again on tomorrow then. Yeah, for the rest of you, it's a meeting.
I feel quite buoyant about it because I think if the business communities behind it, then they probably are going to push quite hard to get it done.
No, it's
they smell the
And maybe
smell the money.
maybe it's a good thing that the timescale's ridiculously short because all the other councils won't be able to get their act together if we
Yeah,
we charge ahead.
we might be the only one.
Yeah.
Unless we were bottom of the list, or they've gone alphabetically, and that was
Okay then. So the next item is to receive the clerk's report that was circulated in your packs. If you want to do any more than that with it. So I'm just going through the various meetings and things that she's taken part of.
The review of the correspondence is quite eye-opening, really. You see, A, what it is, B, the extent of it.
Yeah.
It's worth doing.
Yeah.
Okay, consider a letter received from Chat regarding the Oundle Town Council nomination for trustees. So basically this is the same, they want one trustee nominated from the council. At the moment, have we got 2 or is it 3?
I think 3.
3, okay. And who are the 3?
Well, it's 3 and then Val is also.
Yeah, so Val is not a council nominee, so that's
Councillor
okay.
Sparks,
Yeah.
Councillor Peel and Councillor Stagg put their names forward.
Right, so between the 3 of you, can you agree that only one represents the council? Or do we have to go through some other process?
For me, I'd let Chat choose.
Well, Chat said they commend Roy Sparks for his work this year.
So they've chosen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roy. You're doing a damn good job, so keep it up. Yeah, okay, so we need to just let Peter know, don't we, that Terry, thank you for standing up for that one and then standing down so gracefully. Chat. Consider planning notice received for the architect regarding the Angel Inn St Offers Lane. This one, I think, David, maybe you'd like to share this little discussion.
Right, well, a little bit of history. The planning application has already come before our planning committee, and that was an application for change of use of the Angel. A more sort of startling change of use you could hardly imagine, so from a public house to, in effect, a funeral parlour. And the conclusion of the planning committee was that actually, whilst the facility might be welcome somewhere in the town, it wasn't the right place for it. This was partly due to concerns about the movements, for example, of hearses to and from the premises, and where they would actually have to wait, and indeed people coming to and from either in cars or otherwise. So we had already decided to object, and formed the objection largely on the basis I suggested, and Councillor Oates thinks I've missed anything, you want to sort of intervene. This has subsequently come through, and my understanding of the matter is that when it ended up at ENC, they then raised a further issue, which was that on the basis of the planning application, access would need to be obtained across land belonging to somebody else, and somebody else happens to be us, because the land is part of the St O's car park. So there's a kind of secondary issue in here, in which, quite apart from our planning role, where we've already spoken, we could, as the affected landowner, actually indicate either that we are happy with it, which might prove slightly complicated, bearing in mind the decision of the planning committee, or alternatively we might want to raise objections. The difficulty possibly with that is that it seems to me it's a public car park to which public can resort. And so if they resort into it and then move from it to some other area, I'm not entirely sure whether we can realistically either reject or oppose. So in a sense I just leave that one out there.
Have we had any response to our concerns about the use of the vehicle movements?
Well, I think the short answer is we haven't heard anything directly from the applicant as far as I'm aware. ENC have yet to determine the application, partially because they want to know whether the landowner, i.e. OTC, is going to express any view. Now, I suggest that probably all we can actually do is reiterate the concerns that the planning committee had about the impact on the car park and indeed the entrance to the car park from St O's Lane. If you think about it, you come off St O's Lane, you go under this little thing outside the car, and almost immediately you'd be kind of going off left into what was the rear of the Angel Public House, but will presumably now be where cars needing to be there, choose my words with a certain amount of care, would either be waiting or would be coming and going. And I would have thought that there may be a degree of concern about that. And I'm also slightly worried about the idea of children with potentially young children with their parents visiting the co-op and having potentially hearses with somebody inside it actually going straight past them at very, very close range. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm being unduly sensitive about that, but it struck me that that was perhaps a bit of an issue, and I've no idea what the view of the co-op itself might be. I can't imagine they're thrilled.
Councillor Chester.
Effectively, the route through the car park is a one-way street. Because you go in one way and you come out the other.
Yeah.
Okay, it's two-way, obviously on East Road, but effectively it is. Why do they need access to the car park, putting it simply?
Because their yard, where they will keep the hearse and their funeral cars, is in the current pub yard.
So they would only need to come in and then out through the car park?
So they would have to drive the hearse in, presumably, off St O's
Because
Lane.
it's quite a difficult entrance into that
It is
car
quite
park.
a difficult entrance,
Of
and,
the
and get it in there
I
somehow.
would suspect it's not adequate.
Then
Anyway.
they'd have to drive right through the car park.
Yeah, I mean, then are they
Labour
thinking
otherwise.
about using space in the car park?
No.
Are they thinking about the
Not that I'm
business to
aware
the
of.
business, the visitors to the business
I
spending
think
longer
visitors
than 2
to the-
hours?
Business will use the car park, but I doubt that many of them would probably be there for in excess of 2 hours.
No.
Though this is not only going to be somewhere where you organise the funerals, but there is going to be, in effect, a chapel of rest area
Exactly.
there, so people
Which
may
does
want
require
to
time.
visit, and presumably may want to visit for more than 5
Yeah.
minutes. But even so, I doubt that they would be there for more than 2 hours, but I suppose they could in theory.
Easily.
Councillor
It was just a point of that's we were talking about it earlier. But just outside the gates, in fact, is where all the disabled bays are.
Yes.
And I think I don't know a lot about funerals, but I imagine loading up the hearse and then moving out as they're starting to form a sort of cortege, moving out and having to go past the disabled cars and people waiting for that to happen. So you're sitting there. I mean, I don't know if that's
They just to answer that a little bit, and their proposal is a sliding gate, so it won't be the gates that they've currently got that open out and block the parking spaces, and they have in their proposal 3 parking spaces inside their property. So most of the activity will take place in there, but it will be considerably more traffic than was held at the park.
I take your point and I can see that, but I can imagine it being completely different in real life.
I'm sort of, I do understand people's concerns. I'm not an expert, but I have been to a few funerals in the last year, unfortunately, and my experience is that you don't actually gather at the
Funeral
funeral
parlour.
parlour.
No.
What normally happens is the hearse leaves the funeral parlour, goes to a house where the relatives are gathered, and they join the funeral cortege there. So I do kind of understand the concerns. I'm also kind of aware that the building has been empty for well over a year, must be at least, and it's a business coming into Oundle, and I'm in 2 minds really, to be honest. I mean, I'm kind of, would it be so terrible? I'm not so sure it would.
Councillor Snag.
Actually, different tack. Yes, I'm sure will tell us. What's the validity of this notice, given that nothing's gone through ENC?
My understanding of the position is that, as is quite common with planning applications, if there's an issue with it, what they tend to do is not just sort of chuck it out and say start again. They'll say this is what you also need to do. So my understanding is the application is in effect on hold at ENC, who will consider it when they know either that there has been no response from OTC on this point, or they have seen the response. Now, it may be that we might raise various concerns about it, and I suppose it is still possible the planning application may be granted. But it is on the basis that they are crossing land that belongs to us. Now, it just so happens that because of the nature of the land, we're quite happy to allow Uncle Tom Cotley at all to drive through it and park in it and so on. That's its purpose. But this is a somewhat different scenario as outlined.
Yeah. So, Councillor Stagg?
Another business in the town, I agree, absolutely, to be welcomed. Will this affect the car park? Yes. How much we don't know yet, but it will. Those cars are like a normal car and a half length. They'll park in the beds where they shouldn't park. They'll take up other parking spaces. So there'll be a bit of pain, whether it'll be bearable or not, we won't know. Well, I just think the logistics of moving those things around will cause some.
I mean, I think that's my point. You know, they're big vehicles, and you've got to move them and juggle them around. I know in the plan that they have parking spaces in their yard. They plan to have parking spaces in their yard. Whether they're sufficient enough, because they're bound to have, I don't know how many employees they're going to have, but they're going to use that parking space. I mean, and I think we're scuppered really because it's a public car park, so we can't actually say. I don't know.
Well, they shouldn't use the car park because it's 2 hours stay, and I know that's not really well enforced, but that's a whole different debate, isn't it?
The reality is that it is 2 hours.
But there are people that work in the town.
Yeah, of course there are. There's lots of cars there that are all there all day.
Then what we should be doing is saying anybody can come in here and park for as long as they jolly well want.
Well, maybe not, but I think just to move on this one, this council meeting has just accepted the minutes from the planning meeting, or is just about to, sorry. Yeah, the planning committee has said, you know, that they don't believe this is a suitable location, and I think the best that we could do it, or the most that we could do it at this one is support the planning committee.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it.
Well, okay, then I will put forward a proposal that we support the recommendation to the planning committee and put that to a vote.
Second that.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. So we have all those in favour? Okay, and all those against? Okay, so we have 2 against. Yeah. I don't know, is that enough on this item?
Yes,
Do you
I
need
think
to do
so.
any more or less than that?
If Clark's got any issues about how we word it, we can have a word
Well,
afterwards.
see, I'm basically going to have to go back and just say, I'm not saying no you can't, all I'm just saying is that you have concerns and reiterate what was said in the planning.
Yes.
So,
That's right, I
I
think
don't know
that's
how
probably-
that leaves it.
No, that's
I
probably the
don't,
latest
well, I
thing.
think it simply is just one more thing to put into the mix for the planners.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be difficult for us to say, no, you can't, because what is the basis for suddenly excluding them when we're not actually, as far as I'm aware, excluding anybody else at all? I don't think we could.
Yeah. So, Councillor Oakes?
Just basically rock and a hard place.
Okay, Councillor
I
Hunt?
just wonder whether we could ask ENC to include a clause in the if they were to grant approval, a clause that says they shouldn't park any funeral vehicles in the car park at any time, and that their employees should not be using it as it's a 2-hour car park. And I don't know whether that holds any weight, but we
I
could.
think you could point it out.
Yeah.
I think you can point it out, and I think that were the application to be granted, this council may very well want to contact the applicant and, if you like, set the record straight from day one.
So
You
maybe
will not do this because you do not have the right to do it.
So rather than another resolution, can we leave that with the planning committee?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Councillor Oakes?
The other thing is about enforcement.
Yeah, so
That's
we're
it, really.
the same problem.
We can rattle on and trade about.
But I'm sure there's going to be some very complicated rights of access to the back of that property
Absolutely.
that we
There's a
can't
ton of
get
stuff.
into in this meeting.
Turning circles and all sorts of stuff. Well, anyway.
Okay, right. All right, receive a letter from Freedom Leisure on their summer activities. It sounded a rather good activity to be using the space for. Everybody read it?
Yeah, I put a little thing in the Clark's report when I met with them.
Yeah.
They're looking for three dates in August.
Yeah. So has anybody got any objections to this?
No, no, we don't.
Do we need a resolution? It's just received, yeah, okay, it's very, very good, yeah. Right, more complicated one, to approve the revised standing orders. My computer don't run an overload on this one. It's a big document, isn't it? Do we just say,
Yeah, I think it's more about the, there's a bit of conflict between meetings and committee meetings. So it's highlighted in red. Hopefully you have got it highlighted in red. And there was obviously a big part about the neighbourhood plan meeting. I thought as we've cancelled that, and it's now going to be an extraordinary meeting if we have a neighbourhood plan meeting, then it doesn't necessarily need to be in there. But it's, you know, they're your standing orders.
got that one, Emma, thank you.
Right. I may as well take the cyanide pill immediately.
Well, you know, just not wanting to go back and edit them again, but if we left the neighbourhood plan one in the way it was, it's a standing order if you have a neighbourhood plan meeting, isn't it?
It is, although we did say they would revert back to extraordinary, because now they're taken off the schedule, they aren't technically a neighbourhood plan. They're not scheduled.
Right, okay.
It will become an extraordinary meeting, which you will call us to now.
Yeah, so does that mean an edit of this document, or can we just...
Well, we've got extraordinary meetings.
Yeah, okay, all right, so, okay, so
Yeah.
it's already done then, that's fine. Thanks.
You have your standing order for your extraordinary meetings, anyway, so...
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big document, but there's relatively few amendments, aren't there?
Yeah,
So,
no. We only actually approved these last year, yeah,
Right.
2018,
Yes.
so, and that was in September actually, so it wasn't even a year ago.
Councillor Sparks.
I didn't think of it at the time of the meeting, the last meeting. It occurred to me after the meeting. While I agree entirely with what we said at the meeting about amending the rescission clauses, we looked at this in some considerable depth here and at the Standards Committee, and they looked at standing orders for district council, in fact a number of district councils across the country and a number of town and parish councils across the country, and recommended standing orders coming down from NALP and elsewhere, all of which contain, I think it's a statutory clause that you have a rescission in there. We're not taking that away, I fully understand that. I think what we need to do before we approve it is just make sure that any amendment we make to it, and as I said, I'm sorry I didn't think of this at the time of the last meeting, any amendment we make to that clause doesn't conflict with, if you like, a national clause, something that's a statutory.
Okay.
Normally the statutory ones are involved,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
so...
I mean, I don't think it does,
No, that's good.
from the way I've read it. And we did decide at the last meeting to include it. And given this council's history, I'm quite keen on the idea that it's there. At least it's absolutely clear then.
Yes.
After all, this is not exactly likely to happen repeatedly. But if it does happen, at least we know now that it isn't just a question of 4 or more names coming forward and saying we want to change something. They will have to put forward an explanation. Now, whether other councils consider the explanation ultimately given acceptable or not will probably be reflected in the way that the council ultimately votes on the thing anyway. But at least this way, it is a rather more open process. And having been at the heart of a previous difficulty, I'm quite keen on the idea that we make it more open, and I'm sure Councillor Stagg, who proposed it, has exactly the same thoughts in mind.
And so do I.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. Well, with that, are we happy to accept these the way they're going then? Is that okay? Answer your question, do it? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Councillor Holland.
I'll propose them.
Okay. I'll second that. All those in favour? Okay. That's unanimous. Thank you. Right, so is it from the boardwalk at Snipe Meadows? So we haven't got anything in the back, is
Yeah, we have had the community payback people down there
Very good.
removing it.
Excellent.
It is a bit waterlogged, unfortunately, so
Yeah.
how far they get, and it is a very slow process. We also were hoping that we could burn it on the site in the field, which is actually owned by Amble School, but we've obviously got to wait for their permission
Yeah.
before we do anything with it. But it is happening, but it is a very slow process.
So when do you think that might be completed?
Well, they are supposed to be coming back tomorrow, but the weather doesn't look particularly good tomorrow.
So we're talking about a couple of weeks, though. We're not
Yeah, I
talking
think
about months.
so, yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about months, though.
No, not months and months,
Okay.
no.
And in terms of the other activity about replacing it,
At the moment, we've still not heard back from East Northants Council as to whether we've got planning permission. I have spoken to the Royal England and the Wildlife Trust, and we've got some contacts for people that either supply the boardwalk or can fit as well. I know there has been some talk about possible volunteers.
yes.
But we, at the moment, we should hear. I mean, I think Lisa spoke to the planning department last week, and they said we'd know in the next couple of weeks.
All right. So in terms of getting finances into place then, on the assumption we're going to do this with a lot of voluntary support, we need to get ahead, don't we, with getting the finances in place?
We have 40,000 in Section 106 money that East Northampton said we can use to replace the boardwalk.
That's a fair amount of recycled plastic, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yes.
I think a quote that we had a couple of years ago, I know it's for 70,000, but that was fitted
as well, yeah. So for all of you who are not aware, there's been a lot of conversation about using voluntary help to do what we can. That doesn't mean we're doing the structural bits, but using volunteers to get this thing assembled. And I love voluntary things like that because it's great for the community spirit.
I agree with you. It was Len Johnson who actually kept that day.
Yeah.
A former councillor of ours, and he did that for nothing really. And we had to put the chicken wire in and all that sort of stuff.
So we're trying
at a cost of zero from his point of view.
So there'll be a lot of management to do it, and not the least is once you start getting all the materials on site, making sure they don't disappear on site, so we do have to press on with it once we've got the stuff. But we need a bit of a project plan on this, don't we, Evan? It's going to happen on this date, and it would be nice to see it in by Christmas. Yeah. Okay, thanks for that update, Emma. Right, financial matters then. The first one is to approve the bank reconciliation balance sheet hub trading account for April and May. So this is essentially the same stuff we went through finance.
It's the same as we had last week.
Yeah, just went through finance the other week. So beyond what was discussed last week, are there any other issues from the councillors to talk about there? No? Okay then. Can I put forward, propose that one then? We accept these? We approve them? Seconded by Councillor Houghton. All those in favour? That's unanimously carried. Thank you. And then payments for May 2019. The scheduled payments for May 2019 are presented. These items are to be paid and all the related documentation and cheques are signed. Any problems with that? Apart from the way I read it. Right.
You propose it?
Yes, Councillor N. Oakes has proposed it and Councillor S. Oakes has seconded. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. And to approve the expenditure for the replacement of the wooden bollards for the churchyard and to agree where the funds are obtained. So initially we had a proposal for some plastic bollards to go in there. We had a conversation with this at the estates meetings several meetings ago and said it would be nicer if they were actually replaced with the oak that they are currently. And that's what's gone forward in the proposal.
Yeah, the two quotes, I think we decided to go with the oak, so they were the two quotes. The third quote was for the plastic ones. The blanking cap is by a different metalwork specialist.
Yeah.
We've only found one who can
No,
do
it's
it
okay.
in the area. So that's £145 on top. Yeah, I mean the two quotes are very, very similar.
Yeah, just for those who didn't understand, the blanking cap was where you take the bollard out, you put the blanking cap in its place when the vehicles go across that patch. I thought there were caps on top of the posts. That's why I'm explaining, because I got it wrong myself.
Do we
Okay.
need caps?
Yep, do. Okay then, so in terms of approvals, any more discussion on that item? We're not stopping discussion if anybody wants to, but otherwise I can move forward. I'd like
You
to
also
propose.
just need to say that because we haven't got enough funds in the churchyard budget,
We need to move.
I think we've only got £500 in the churchyard
Okay.
budget, so you need to sort of say that you're going to take some of the money from somewhere else,
Recommend.
or general
Yeah.
reserves.
So we take the money from the general reserves. Okay then. So we're all right to approve that? And I propose it. And a seconder, Councillor Stagg. All those in favour?
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are you okay for me to just pick either one of those, or do you want to just go
Yes.
to cheapest?
I go with the cheapest myself.
Yeah,
Don't-
okay.
yeah, I don't think there was anything in
Nothing
either.
in it, but
No.
I'll just go with the cheapest.
Yeah. They both said
They're both
they both said the oak will be cracked when we get it.
Mhm.
You know, it's just purely because of the nature of the green oak. Right, to approve Clark's. Sorry.
No, I'm just looking at the next item.
Oh, cracked oak. No, sorry, we were just. You moved on to the Clark's attendance SLC conference in October. £375. I've read it. You
Yeah,
just
I've
to
read
tell
it.
us a little bit more about
Do
it.
we just propose it? So that
I think it's hugely problematical.
Seconded by Councillor Hutton. Okay, then.
Very,
Yeah.
you need a vote.
That's all right. And
There we
The
are.
vote. Right. I received the internal audit report. Well, those of the Finance Committee have already seen this, but for the rest of you, it was a glowing report of Emma and her staff. So it was a nice.
Inspiring.
Yeah.
Oh, it was on fire.
So that's just to receive that then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any questions? No? Okay, then it's received. And then we received the minutes from the Finance and General Purpose Committee. We've just been through their agenda. But, get this.
No problem.
Right. Neighbourhood plan. We received the update from the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group.
Ooh.
I just put a couple of tables on the back that Mike Burton had suggested that just gave you a little bit of an idea of how long it took for plans to be made, but also for how long it took for the examiner to go through. I think some are quite quick, but then some are a little bit more, take a little bit longer.
Yeah, so, you know, I'd raised a bit of a frustration over the time it was going to take to get through to the examiner. And I accept, you know, the information and the answers I was given to those questions. You know, so it is a slow process, but you know, I've no doubt that it is working through at the right speed. So our vulnerability is obviously if anybody raises any hiccups during the process, you know, we might have to go back. But if it all happens to this plan, then you know, we're looking at early New Year for the referendum. But the fact that the document is out there in the public domain is the good news. And we've got further consultation with the public starting 5th of July, was it? Or 12th of July?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got 6 weeks of further input. And this isn't to change the document, this is purely people's responses to it.
I just want to applaud the effort that's been put into this.
Well,
And the fact we've got it in front of the people who want to do something rather different.
yeah. No,
I believe it like that.
Yeah, no, they accept that on behalf of Peter especially, you know, who has been a major driving force in taking this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so that's received. Communications Working Party to approve the July Oundle Oracle. Apart from the picture of the mayor, I think it's very good.
By the way, I propose actually to take a decent photograph of it.
Yeah,
I'll bring my best camera equipment
I accept your
and the best
proposal.
lighting and everything.
Okay.
And I looked at it also, I've got Photoshop. So,
No, I think that, Ian's doing a tremendous job with these
He is,
publications.
absolutely
This is actually produced by
Not to be
Rebecca.
congratulated.
Completely, I will
Right.
say.
For the
Rebecca
tape, I would like to
is-
say Rebecca's doing an excellent job. This document. No, it really is. It's
Wonderful.
internationally, it's exciting. Just in terms of what date does it go to the print?
We've now put it towards the end of July because
Okay, no, we've got to put the chance to get their picture in this up.
Oh, if you want them, yes. Rebecca will take one of you, and she will take one of anybody else who wants a picture. Just come into the office. She made us all take new pictures.
Yes, and all the distorted photographs are now gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Hunt.
I was going to say, can I just do a paragraph, just a few sentences, just to say thank you very much for
Of course
your
you
time
can,
as
yeah.
Mayor, and just tag it on the
Yeah,
bottom of
yeah,
Jenny's
yeah.
page, if that's all right.
That's no problem, yeah.
I just-
We've got a few weeks before it goes out.
Yeah, if I could just do a quick,
Mhm.
how much I've enjoyed it and how much I've appreciated the support I've been given, and thank you.
Yep.
Councillor
And that's
Chapel.
to all of you.
In our bit about finance, we present a figure which shows a net surplus in 6 figures, with precious little explanation as to why.
Okay.
And I just feel that somewhere to indicate that when we did the budget we were planning on taking over a lot of expenditure from the county council,
Yeah.
including the library.
Yep.
It may only need to be a couple of sentences, but otherwise I think we're going to get an awful lot of questions about why on earth we're running such a surplus.
Yes. Quite right.
Yeah, as explained at the annual meeting.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, basically, we just produced a slush fund because we...
Well, no, please.
No.
We did not.
In a
We-
nice democratic
Yeah,
way.
no, we actually, we planned for
Absolutely.
what could occur.
I'm merely being just slightly humorous.
Yeah, I'll just try to keep control of your humour. Yeah, so just in terms of, we had very strict rules that we needed that 3 months
Absolutely.
accounts
Oh,
all
yeah.
the time, which are the guidelines. Plus, we had a very uncertain period that we're travelling through. We haven't travelled through yet. I think
Yeah.
we're still into.
We did use some of that, the money that we put aside for NCC to pay towards the neighbourhood plan.
Yeah,
We did
okay.
have some extra expenditure on that, but yeah, we
Okay.
put
So
something
we
in for that.
taking Councillor Chapel's point there,
Yeah,
we just
we'll
need to
put
explain
an
that number.
explanation.
Yeah, Councillor Stagg.
A council in Kent has just tried to withdraw £250,000 from somebody's fund, which has been closed to them.
Yeah.
Is it worth us putting something alongside what we're going to put as an explanation that the funds are not in any esoteric account that could make a lot of money that could blow up in our face, that they are somewhere
No
safe?
Icelandic banks or whatever.
No.
I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't open the conversation up,
Okay.
but we can certainly, if we ever get a question on the subject, we have a very robust answer that we do not speculate on financial issues of this
I think
council.
that's absolutely right. I mean, the fact is we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And we tried to do our very best to make sure that our residents weren't improperly...
That's much better than what you said first time. Thank you. Okay.
Just the point to that, I mean, we presumably still don't know what's going to happen.
No, that's what I'm saying. We're
There's
still in
a lot
those
of,
uncertain times. Yeah.
Opportunity for that,
Yes.
for those monies to be used.
Yeah.
Because once the unitary authority changes and everything, they might turn around and say,
Oh,
you've got to do it all yourself.
Okay.
So it's important.
All right. Planning matters to receive the minutes from the planning committee for the 4th of June. Would you be happy to receive those?
Simply refreshing my memory. Well, obviously, of course, one of the... actually, no, I think it was the
You're
earlier
happy
one.
with those little amendments then
Yeah.
to go forward?
Yes.
Right, okay.
This was the one in which we also commented on the North Bridge. But unless anybody's got any particular questions.
No, I think for me the North Bridge issue is that is purely this issue about the way they want to scar the brick surfaces. But I accept that is it's a consequence of the state of repair of the bridge. It's a robust way that they propose to mend it. you know, and it's not in a visible area. You know, so the scarring is underneath the arches of the bridge where they put the stainless steel hoops up. There'll be some lines about 6mm wide, which mostly will be in mortar, but they will cross bricks. And then they'll be backfilled with resin of the same colour as the brick.
Can I ask, are Ashton Parish getting all the same information? Because they own half of the bridge, if you remember.
It's
We
quite
seem
interesting
to be
know.
making decisions on their behalf all the time.
But it's an interesting thing on the planning committee, isn't it? You can only accept one half of the bridge. Fair point.
I mean, it's not likely they're going to object to what we say, but on the other hand, we ought to be mindful of the fact that we're not the only people with a huge interest in this structure.
I think they have been involved in a lot of, I mean, I don't know if they've been involved in the latest lot of
That's why I'm asking about
communication that we've had, but they have been right up, up until recently.
Yeah. So I don't know what the best thing is. There anything else we can do with it? Could you do a note to them, just
Yeah,
asking
sure,
if they're aware of what's going on and that it's been through our planning? No, very good.
I would have thought it would have gone through their planning.
Well, that, you know, it's
probably
like.
will, I mean, just to
Yeah.
go
But,
to...
But
well,
having
you
come
would
up with
think
the
it
point,
would,
it's
but
good.
you never know.
Yeah,
No, exactly. It could be an
I'll
area.
check, yeah.
Because at least one of the arches that involved is in that side of the river.
Yeah.
It is.
The other arches are all over our side of the river,
Yeah.
so you know, it's quite.
They're pretty well aware anyway, I know that from talking to...
No, it's good to ask though. Just
Yeah.
it's a good point. I'd forgotten it. Yeah.
Because if ENC haven't sent it to them, then they won't have it.
We see if they can sort out Riverside Hotel.
So the planning matters have been received then. I want to receive the minutes of the Estates Management Committee meeting. Any issues anybody's noticed in those? If those are received then. And then correspondence to receive Town and Parish Council briefing from ENC regarding the unitary delivery programme update. So I've seen that with the names of the councillors and all the other bits and pieces on it. You can't do much more than there's a committee going to form, and I don't know how they're going to work out their agenda or how much influence they have on anything, but we've been informed. And then to receive the Northants Calc update from May and June, and the mini update on Calc. Happy with those documents? Okay, we'll receive them. And any other relevant matters for report only? No. Yes, please, Ken. Yep, go on.
Are you going now?
That's okay, you can. Do you agree?
I attended, and I'm very disappointed that I was the only town councillor. I mean, the clerk is laughing because she and I, we sat here in almost stately, you know, wonders. Last Tuesday, the 11th, was a meeting
With the police.
with the police commissioner and the chief constable. Now, to get the chief constable out takes a lot of doing. We may be years before he visits Alnwick again. I mean, it's that important, and I'm just surprised that nobody else attended the meeting.
I mean, I think part of the issue was there were two other meetings that day. And so
Sorry?
part of the issue was there were two other meetings that day.
Yes,
I was at two other meetings on that day. And
Yes, I'm not picking...
No, I'm not.
off.
So
I
I'm
mean,
saying that it actually is
Yeah.
a meeting that at one time would have been treated
Yeah.
very seriously.
I think-
Everybody would have been there.
I think probably a lot of councillors would like to have been there, but I'm just making the
Yeah.
point there were a lot of other things on at the same time, which has made it a bit difficult.
It was extremely useful.
Yeah, it was actually, yeah.
Extremely useful. Partly because the chief constable himself was taking a much harder line on some of the things that we've been getting anxious about, and that was very reassuring indeed. And that they are going to be recruiting 200 more police for the county and training them. So
Okay.
that's a good thing too.
Yes.
Is that just on the side of that, is that something we should perhaps put into the Oracle if we've got time to, a report back on that meeting?
I could see, but we are really, because we've already got one of the
It's already done.
lines.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it just popped into my head, oh,
Yeah.
hang on, this is something that
But perhaps we'll do it for the
public are
advertiser.
worried about, and perhaps it would be something. I don't
Perhaps
know.
the next advertiser.
Okay, sorry, Councillor Chapel, just raised his hand.
Well, just as a follow-up, really, I mean, as it was quite lamented, perhaps we should make sure that if we haven't already done so, we sort of write an appropriate letter of thanks. But there is a bit of a caveat to that, because we used to have regular attendance at our meetings by the police, and when they couldn't come, we did at least get a report. And we haven't had one of those for probably 2 years, I should have thought, something like that.
I don't think they do them anymore.
I don't think they will.
It seems unfortunate that the police can't spare the time to at least put out a written report, which would probably take somebody no more than 30 minutes to put together in the course of a month, and actually make sure that we have figures, like crime figures and so on. Because I feel uninformed now, whereas a couple of years ago I felt informed about these
There is a
kind of things.
website. You could go on to, because they showed Oundle, didn't they, and
Yeah.
showed where all the crimes were and what they were. There is a website, and I don't know if it's in that leaflet. I can get you the information.
Well, yes, A,
And you
I'd
can
like
go
it
on and look
personally,
at it.
It
and
is
B, if
available.
we're going
It's
to put
available.
something into the advertiser, perhaps we could publicise the fact that
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
can get
There
information.
is public information. What they won't do, I don't think, is they won't produce a report, but you can go and
I think
use
that's far more important that the public know there's a website you
Yeah.
can go to, and it has detailed, probably more detail than having,
Mm.
PC so telling us what was going on.
Was there
Far
never-
more information.
Sorry,
I was just going to make the point that,
Sorry, you
sorry,
can
I
wait
think
for
there
it.
was, no, I was just going to make the point that there was some quite good coverage about the meeting on social media, so although, I mean, great if we can get something in Oracle, but I understand it might be a bit late, there has been some pretty good coverage actually.
Certainly the advertising, because
Yeah.
get in there.
And as a follow-up really on the if there is a website where there is a report, maybe we could have it. I don't know if there's something that is easily reproducible, but it's a one-page report that we could print off and include in our pack for the regular meeting, the council meetings.
It's
Whether
just a map, and then you just zoom in on it.
Okay, so maybe
Yeah.
not then, maybe
It's
not.
more
It doesn't
interactive.
lend
That's
itself to
what
that.
he did. But here, he zoomed in on the map, and then you could
Yeah.
see exactly where the clients were.
Councillor Snake?
It's great getting information, but what are you going to do with it? If you had a policeman here holding somebody's feet to the fire, at least they know that we're not happy or happy and thankful that they're doing something. They're supposed to connect with the community, aren't they?
Yeah, no, point
How much
taken.
connection
Yeah, but I mean, perhaps you could argue that this is connected with the community even more if you put it out there to say this information is available to everybody. I don't know how much of the information got back to the community from the guy standing here. So, that's a swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Situation. I mean,
Personally, I found it useful.
What, when the guy was here?
Absolutely.
But how much of that information got back into the general public domain from that?
I can't recall what we did with it.
Perhaps,
Other than
by
I was in
saying,
a minute.
perhaps by saying in the advertiser, go to the website and you will see for yourself. It might
Yeah.
introduce it in
Yeah.
a better way.
So just, reiterating what Councillor Stagg said, I was quite disappointed that when we had our town meeting, we had no representation from the police force there. It was not a lot to ask.
Even when they do come, nobody came.
Yeah.
We had 4.
Well, no,
Yeah.
no, can I just take that point up as well, Councillor Jessup? When we were asked whether we should host this meeting with the Commissioner, Emma bounced it off me, and I said, look, this is extremely short notice. We might not have good attendance because it's such short notice. So we declined their offer. Then somebody booked the meeting, even though we declined it.
That was
And-
our new county councillor, wasn't it?
Yeah, they booked the meeting even though we declined it because we thought we were going to have not have representation. Ian went round and did the thing on social media to tell everybody this meeting had been booked. I went round to the neighbourhood watch groups and asked them, you know, to be aware that this was. So we did our best to get people to attend. Yeah, but we'd already predicted that, you know, it was too short a notice to get a respectable attendance. So it's unfortunate the meeting, you know, did take place, but, you know, it's not for the want of trying.
But interestingly, you see, only 3 members of the public came, or
Yeah.
4, was it?
Well,
Yeah.
and the
And so
neighbourhood.
that reflects their difficulty as well.
Well, the Neighbourhood Watch Group told me that it was the, what's the title of our local police, the PPC or something? I can't remember the initials we
The
used.
JAG meeting.
No, the community police.
PCSOs.
PCSO, yeah. So it was PCSO that was responsible for notifying the other neighbourhood watch groups. The PCSO did not.
Well, I'm
No.
glad to get that feedback because I think.
But
that's
I say it's not for the
important
want of
that to be
trying,
known.
that we did on in two different ways, say that this might turn out to be an embarrassment if you have the meeting, because we can't get enough people there.
Yeah.
And then they went ahead and booked the meeting, and we did our best to get
Yeah, we
people
covered
there.
the electronic notice.
And when they got the opportunity to turn up with the guaranteed 100+ people who were going to be there to listen to them, they didn't bother turning up. So, you know.
I'm not putting blame out here, I'm saying the whole thing was
I think it was a bit
disappointment to
rushed.
say the least.
It was a bit of a rush, and
Yeah.
it did feel like we were almost forced to have it
Yes.
at such short notice,
Okay. So we
It
tried
was
our
just a
best, and we
shame.
should put the note of thanks out.
because it was a
Yeah.
good presentation and,
Yeah.
and it was useful.
Sorry,
Yes,
Councillor
of course.
Tappell.
This is a bit after the event, since we've approved the minute. But it just caught my eye that when you look at the memberships of committees, etc., from the last meeting, the Estates Management Committee doesn't appear to have as a member its own chairman.
It hadn't at
Of
that
course,
time.
Councillor Peel's name isn't down there.
Yeah, because at that time he wasn't on it, and then he came on after,
Ah,
because that was the week before.
right. Just slightly puzzled as to how someone comes on to it because
Yeah.
I haven't actually voted them up to it. Personally, I want to object to Councillor Peel being the chair or being on the committee. I also see that Councillor Baker seems to be on both, which seems slightly odd. Which is actually named as being on both,
On
where it
both
says
what?
either or, planning and estates management.
Councillor Baker, was she, I think she
Yes,
can be
that's
though,
what
can't she?
happened.
You
That-
can be on.
wasn't
You
that
can be on
changed?
both, can't you?
Wasn't that changed about 2 years ago when we had quorum problems? And we had some people who were on both. I think Councillor Oates S was
Yeah.
co-opted onto
But
onto
they're on
both
different weeks now,
in order
so
to keep us all quorum. Yeah, so I think that was altered about 2 years ago.
yeah.
So I read that
Yeah.
as meaning you must be on one or the other, but not, it didn't exclude you
It's
being
still
on
gonna be
both.
no, I think that's
Yeah.
right. I think
Yeah.
that is right. I just
And I
wondered
thought
when
that
I
was
looked at it
just
as
for
whether
the-
Councillor
I
Baker's
just
name
thought that was
appeared
for
in
the
error
member.
instead of Councillor Peel's.
I
But
didn't
No,
think
no,
it
there was
was-
a member, you know, I know when I joined the council, you know, it was that you had to be on one committee, one or the other.
Reread the standing
Yes,
orders.
please reread the standing orders.
Was that I read it
Educate.
as
Yeah.
mayor and deputy who are and or,
Okay,
and everybody else can be on.
so just check whether there's anything we've done wrong. Yeah. Okay, so are there any
And we
other,
approved them as well.
any other related, yeah, Councillor Hodden?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm not surprised on where it's not been covered elsewhere in another meeting, but Councillor Chester and I went to see resident Katie Bayliss about her garden
Yeah.
extension request.
Oh, yes, this one, yes, it's
So
the planning committee, isn't it?
I'm not on planning or estates, which one this falls into, but so I don't know if now is an appropriate time or not. It's not on the agenda and it's not.
Gives a bit of
Well,
education and
basically
work out where it should be.
Basically, I think, Councillor Chester, I'm sure will correct me if I've got it wrong, but I think we both kind of agreed that there's a bit of land that is enclosed by a hedge that is adjacent to a garden that is unkempt and badly in need of maintenance. And in principle, we could understand why, if they were so inclined, they might wish to take ownership of that piece of land, subject to us understanding exactly what they want to do with it. And that would then be a decision for council to look at to see whether that would be acceptable. What they were also hoping for was to take ownership of some of the land beyond the path and onto the green space, if you can remember the picture.
Yeah.
And I think both Councillor Chester and myself felt that would be completely inappropriate, as it affects the public amenity and the visual aspect of the whole development. So
It does,
it
it
would
would block vision
wouldn't-
around the corner. And,
yeah, wouldn't be appropriate.
uh,
But I mean, I'm personally, again, Val, I'm sure you're correct, or contradict me if you don't agree, but personally I think the council could consider an application to buy the bit of land between the path and the garden, subject to understanding what they want to do with that. One of the things they were talking about was building a wall, which I don't think would be acceptable, but if they were going to, maintain it as a hedge and just maintain the garden space.
I wouldn't normally agree to anything because we've had it would be setting a precedent.
Yeah.
We've on a number of occasions been asked about this particular little bit of wedge of land. I can see the point because it's actually scrub and poor quality trees,
Yeah.
and they're happy to keep it as that, but cleaner and more tidy.
That sounds very sensible.
They're not wanting to put it. We told them they wouldn't have a chance of putting a big wall up or something like that. It would have to.
So it sounds like it's a matter for estates then, isn't it?
Yeah.
To draw up.
Yeah.
That Emma can do the,
So
the
maybe
background work for estates.
mistakes
Yeah.
don't agree with the detail, but maybe if Emma wrote to the resident and said that this is our view, that we wouldn't contemplate selling the open space, but
It should come to
something.
estates.
Yeah, so estates have to do that,
Yeah.
don't they? They
Yeah.
have to say, go out with a letter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then into the process. And okay, no, so, well, thank you for your time joining and doing that, because it is a good case of sitting in this office is not the right way to make some of these decisions.
No.
Yeah. I do also observe that if you put a fence around a piece of land for 10 years, it becomes yours, doesn't it?
It's
Okay, you've got to
Well,
got to graze a goat on it as
To
well.
be
but-
fair, our chaps do actually on occasion do a bit of cutting back, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not something you can easily do from the roadside anyway. You'd have to do it from their garden.
Okay, well, thank you for that update. Anything else? Otherwise, that was a big agenda.
As I say,
Well done.
I'd like to say that Emma's got a very, very good team now. They're brilliant. And Emma is mint.
It's a good note on which to close.
Well, that maybe then, because you've started this thing going, whilst we were talking about Emma being mint, tomorrow there's a series of radio broadcasts reference the recycling from Transition Amble. So the last one of the 4 in the morning will be in the hub here. And so we're talking about availability of water, water refill. So, very proud to say, Amble Town Council from day one has had free water available in the hub there. And, that the radio people are coming along, and there'll be a short item there, but we're going to present in that. Yeah, using Emma's staff.
Well, once again, this is a point that we should blow our own trumpet about. We make everyone aware of those sorts of things. Because the thing that frustrates me more than ever as I go round is that the hub perhaps isn't used as much, or this facility isn't used as much by the people that, like the cycling fraternity, that do use a lot of facilities. They use the town square. We started using the George a lot, George car park. And it's just like, hang on, it always galls me a bit that we're missing a trick somewhere, that they're not using this facility,
Yeah.
and not using the hub, and not using that. And is it because they don't know?
Most of the time it is because people don't know. So dispose of it. So we
I
started a
don't see
trend
any,
now.
any board out on the street except for the people at the other end of the corridor.
Any?
An e-board. Hub,
Yeah,
coming
okay.
your tea and coffee
Yeah, no,
and
true.
fancy cakes here.
So we back to the marketing group. Yeah.
There are regulations about A-wards, so that's the problem.
Yes.
And if anybody looks
As
at the
we know,
minutes
we
of our
tried to-
planning meeting, that's something we're debating.
Yeah.
All right.
Get
But
it out and then let them take it off.
we are allowed helium balloons though, so okay. So with that then maybe close this meeting. Thank you.